He says he was fired because he didn't want to make an untruthful statement to a court of law. I have two questions. Number one, I assume you agree that zealous advocacy does not mean, are you going to be releasing those funds? If that's not the case, what did you mean by saying he was not a zealous advocate?
Chris Van Hollen just obliterated Pam Bondi's legal credibility with a single move. And trust me, it's way more intense than it sounds. You'd think Bondi's experience would be enough to keep her cool, but oh no, things took a sharp turn. You won't believe how fast everything started falling apart.
But he filed a detailed account of his recent experience at the Department of Justice.
It all went down in the Senate, and let me tell you, it was not your typical day in the hearing room. Senator Chris Van Hollen went straight for the jugular, putting Attorney General Pam Bondi in a position where she was forced to defend not just herself, but the entire DOJ. And trust me, it wasn't pretty.
Madam Attorney General, yesterday, Erez Ruveni filed a whistleblower complaint against the Department of Justice. As I think you know, he was a 15-year veteran.
Now, the drama wouldn't have reached this boiling point if it weren't for one key figure, Erez Ruveni, a 15-year veteran of the Department of Justice, who, at one point, was getting accolades for his work during the Trump administration.
He received commendations during the first Trump administration for all his work at DOJ.
Sounds like a man with a solid track record, right? But then he dropped the bombshell. Ruveni wasn't your average employee sitting quietly in the background. He'd been part of something far more sinister, a legal battle that was about to shake the DOJ to its core.
Saying that prior to his determination, that he was terminated after he refused to sign an appeal brief that was unsupported by evidence or the law.
Ruveni claimed he was fired for doing the right thing, refusing to sign an appeal brief that he believed was, quite frankly, unsupported by evidence or law. And when you think about it, this man had everything to lose. Why would he risk his career unless there was something he felt had gone seriously wrong?
And he says, I didn't sign up to lie.
His allegations were explosive. It wasn't just about refusing to sign a piece of paper. It was about being asked to lie in court. And that, my friends, is where the real tension started to unfold. Ruveni, someone who'd been praised for years, was now standing up against a system that had, apparently, expected him to compromise his integrity. To make matters worse, he was fired for his stance. Fired for telling the truth.
A statement on Fox News a little while ago saying, at my direction, every Department of Justice attorney is required to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States, and that any attorney who fails to abide by this direction will face consequences.
This is the moment where Van Hollen made his move. He wasn't just talking about Ruveni's firing, he was talking about the bigger picture. And let's be clear here, he knew exactly what he was doing. By highlighting the whistleblower's explosive allegations, Van Hollen didn't just make Bondi uncomfortable. He exposed her and the DOJ to a level of scrutiny that could have serious consequences. Hollen asked two questions. The first was...
I have two questions. Number one, I assume you agree that zealous advocacy does not mean telling untruths to courts of law. And second...
And then he asked...
Law. And second, if that's not the case, what did you mean by saying he was not a zealous advocate?
With these questions, he put the entire system under a microscope. It raised an uncomfortable moral question. Is it more important to uphold the truth, even at the cost of your career, or to bend to the pressure of a powerful institution that's more interested in saving face?
Senator Van Hollen, this is all pending litigation, as you're well aware, and the timing of it, I can't discuss pending litigation. This is a whistleblower lawsuit pending within my office.
Pam Bondi was really trying to deflect the heat during her Senate hearing with Van Hollen. Right from the get-go, she played the pending litigation card, a classic move to avoid directly answering any of those hard-hitting questions. She was basically trying to distance herself from the controversy surrounding Erez Ruveni's explosive whistleblower complaint. Of course, it didn't take long for Van Hollen to smell the weakness in her defense. Instead of diving into the specifics, Bondi tried to sidestep the issue, as if this was just another routine day at the office. But here's the thing. You can't just keep dodging questions when the truth is sitting right in front of you.
But this had to do with attorney-client privilege information that was disclosed. I can't talk about the substance, but what I will tell you, and you have obviously my word, any zealous advocacy means to be done ethically and honestly.
Bondi was trying to paint herself as this beacon of ethical leadership, especially when she started talking about zealous advocacy. That's when the contradictions started piling up. According to her, being a zealous advocate means being ethical and honest. Okay, fine. But how does that fit with the allegations against her? Ruvani's entire complaint was about being asked to lie in court. Yet Bondi is out here acting like all this is just a misunderstanding. If zealous advocacy means doing whatever it takes, even if it means being dishonest, then maybe Bondi's definition of ethics needs a major overhaul.
But again, I wish I could get into greater detail. I can't because it's pending, but
At this point, Bondi started to look like she was just throwing out buzzwords and hoping no one would notice the cracks in her argument. She couldn't directly address the whistleblower's accusations, and that raised some major red flags. Every time Van Hollen pressed her on specifics, she pulled back, repeating the same vague talking points about pending litigation and attorney-client privilege.
His account seems to have lots of information. So as you say, this will obviously be something that's litigated or reviewed through due process procedures. But I have to say that it's very, very disturbing.
And that's where Van Hollen really shined. He had clearly done his homework, and his line of questioning wasn't just random. He was setting her up. First, he took Bondi to task over the seriousness of Ruvani's allegations. Instead of letting her dodge, he called it what it was: disturbing. The impact of those allegations was real, and he wasn't going to let Bondi downplay it.
We've also heard from others in other departments who are responsible for implementing the laws of the United States that they feel uncomfortable about having been asked to do things that they thought were unethical.
But Van Hollen wasn't done yet. He smartly widened the scope of the conversation. Instead of just talking about Ruvani's firing, he brought up other DOJ employees who were also uncomfortable with unethical actions. Van Hollen didn't just make it about one person, he made it about leadership and the culture within the DOJ under Bondi's watch. It wasn't just about a single case anymore. It was about whether Bondi was leading an institution that was starting to compromise its own values.
And the timing of it, I can't discuss pending litigation. This is a whistleblower lawsuit pending within my office, but I will say the timing of it I find suspect as
Pam Bondi really thought she could dodge the tough questions by focusing on the timing of Arez Ruvani's whistleblower lawsuit. According to her, the timing was suspect. And you know what that means, right? She tried to make it look like this was all some kind of political game, a well-timed attack right as Amal Boy's confirmation hearing was happening. But here's the thing. That argument fell apart faster than you could blink. Sure, the timing might seem a little too perfect, but Bondi was clearly using that as a deflection, hoping everyone would focus on that and forget about the serious ethical questions swirling around the DOJ.
He also accused Amal Bovey of things that Todd Blanche, who is one of the best human beings I also know, he takes hits at Amal Bovey, who is one of the best human beings I know, one of the smartest.
Then Bondi went on to defend her colleagues, Amal Boy and Todd Blanche, who were also named in Ruvani's allegations. She kept repeating that these were the best human beings she knew, as if that was going to make everything better. It wasn't a legal argument. It was an emotional plea. And let's be real, no one was buying it. When you're in a position like Bondi, defending your colleagues with vague, feel-good phrases instead of concrete evidence or testimony just feels desperate. You don't get to escape hard questions by saying someone's a good person. If anything, it felt like she was trying to distract from the real issues by making it personal.
Today, and I find the irony of the timing of it pretty remarkable, the lawsuit. But this had to do with attorney-client privilege information that was disclosed. I can't talk about the substance.
But here's the kicker. Bondi didn't provide a shred of solid evidence to back up her claims. There was no concrete proof to refute Ruvani's allegations, no rock-solid testimony to change the narrative, just a lot of emotional appeals and vague defenses. That's where Bondi's position completely weakened. When you can't back up your statements with facts, All the emotional defense in the world isn't going to help you. And that's how Bondi's defense crumbled. She couldn't escape the truth, no matter how hard she tried to redirect. Was Van Hollen spot on, or should he have kept quiet on this one? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with more videos like this.